All right, today we are diving into one of the most incredible stories ever told. It's a tale of risk, a huge reversal of fortune, and ultimately redemption. We're talking about the ancient Book of Esther, and trust me, it's packed with more palace intrigue and life-or-death drama than you can imagine.
And really, that's the whole story in a nutshell. It all kicks off with one moment of royal arrogance that just spirals completely out of control, threatening an entire people. The only thing standing in the way? One woman in a position of unbelievable power, but also unbelievable danger. Let's get into it.
So, picture this. We're in Shushan, the capital of the massive Persian Empire. We're talking about the reign of King Ahasuerus, and this isn't just any kingdom. This thing is huge, stretching all the way from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces, just massive.
And if you want to get a sense of just how proud this king was, just look at this number, 180 days. That's 6 full months. He threw a party for 6 months straight, just to show off how rich and powerful his kingdom was. It was a display of absolute, unimaginable power and wealth.
So at the very end of all this partying, the king, who's had way too much to drink, commands his queen, Vashti, to come out so he can parade her beauty in front of all his drunk friends. And her answer? It's basically no. In a court where the king's word is law, this is just unthinkable, and it sends the whole palace into an uproar.
Well, you can't say no to the king. Vashti is banished, and it's sealed with a royal decree. Now, this was what they called a law of the Medes and Persians, which meant that once it was written down, nobody, not even the king himself, could ever change it. So just like that, the queen's throne is empty, and a massive kingdom-wide search for a new queen begins.
And among all the young women brought to the palace, there's a Jewish orphan named Esther. She was raised by her cousin Mordecai, and there was just something special about her. She immediately wins the favor of, well, pretty much everyone. And most importantly, she wins the heart of the king. He puts the royal crown on her head, and Esther becomes the new queen of Persia.
But Esther is holding on to this huge, dangerous secret. Her cousin Mordecai told her, "Do not tell anyone you are Jewish." So nobody in the palace has any idea about her family or her heritage. And that one secret? It's about to become this single most important fact in the entire empire. So Esther is queen, and things seem to be settling down. But then a new player enters the scene. A man named Haman. He's this incredibly arrogant and power-hungry official, and the king promotes him above every other noble in the kingdom. Haman loves the power, and he expects everyone to bow down to him.
And all the king's servants, they do it. They bow to Haman, all of them, except one, Mordecai, Esther's cousin. He refuses to kneel. As a Jew, he believed that kind of reverence was for God and God alone. Well, this public act of defiance just fills Haman with this blinding rage. And his revenge plot isn't just about destroying one man. No, he wants to destroy Mordecai's entire people.
So Haman goes to the king with this really slick, poisonous lie. He doesn't even name the Jewish people. He just says there's this certain nation scattered all over the empire, and their laws are different, and they're a threat to the king. He cleverly turns his own personal grudge into a matter of national security.
And what happens next is just chilling. The king, totally fooled by Haman, gives him his royal ring to seal the deal. An official edict is written and sent to every single province. The order? The complete and total annihilation of all Jews, men, women, and children, all on one single appointed day. As you can imagine, when this news gets out, there is just despair everywhere. Mordecai gets a message to Queen Esther explaining the whole horrific plot. He begs her to go to the king and plead for her people. But here's the thing. For her to do that is basically suicide. No one could approach the king without being summoned. The punishment was death.
So just think about the impossible position she's in. You've got two unchangeable laws. One, the law that says her people will be exterminated, and two, the law that says she'll be killed if she tries to stop it. What do? Do you stay quiet and maybe save your own skin, or do you risk everything to speak up?
Mordecai sends back this incredibly powerful message. He basically says, look, don't think for a second you'll be safe just because you're in the palace. And then he asks her this unforgettable question. He suggests that maybe, just maybe, her becoming queen wasn't an accident. Maybe her whole life has been leading up to this exact moment.
And her reply?
It's just pure courage. She tells Mordecai to have all the Jews in the city fast with her for 3 days and 3 nights. And after that, she's going to do it. She's going to break the law and go before the king, knowing full well it could be the last thing she ever does. Her resolve is absolute.
Okay, so this is where the story takes this wild, unpredictable turn. On the night before Esther's big banquet with the king and Haman, which also happens to be the very night Haman has built a giant gallows to hang Mordecai on, the king can't sleep. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The king, wide awake, asks for the royal records to be read to him. And he's reminded of something he'd forgotten. Mordecai once uncovered an assassination plot and saved his life. And he was never even rewarded for it. At that exact moment, guess who shows up? Haman, ready to ask the king's permission to execute Mordecai. But before he can even open his mouth, the king asks him a question.
And the irony here is just wow. It's off the charts. Haman, thinking the king wants to honor him, describes the most ridiculously lavish public parade he can think of. He's picturing himself in the king's robes, on the king's horse, and the king says, "Great idea. Go do all of that for Mordecai, the man he was literally there to kill."
So, Haman, completely humiliated, has to lead Mordecai in this grand parade and then goes straight to Esther's second banquet. It's here, with both the king and his mortal enemy in the same room, that Esther finally makes her move. The king asks again what she wants, promising her anything, and she drops the bomb. She reveals she's Jewish and pleads for her life and the life of her people.
The king is absolutely floored. He demands, "Who is this person? Who would dare to do such a thing?" And Esther points right at Haman. As if the timing couldn't be more perfect, one of the servants chimes in and says, "By the way, king, you know that 75-foot gallows Haman built at his house? He built it for Mordecai, the man who just saved your life."
And just like that, it's over for Haman. The enraged king orders him to be hanged on the very gallows he built for Mordecai. The reversal is complete. But there's still a huge problem. The villain is gone, but his genocidal law is still active across the empire. And remember, it's a law of the Persians. It can't be undone. So they need a new plan. The king gives his signet ring, his symbol of authority, to Mordecai, and they write a new law. Now, it doesn't cancel the first one, but it does something just as powerful. It gives the Jewish people the right to gather together and defend themselves against anyone who tries to harm them. So on that fateful day, instead of being destroyed, they are victorious.
And this right here is the origin of the Jewish holiday of Purim. The name actually comes from the word pur, which means lot, because Haman had cast lots to pick the day for the massacre. So the whole festival celebrates this incredible reversal of fortune, how a day that was chosen for death and sorrow was turned into a day of joy and deliverance.
So in the end, the story of Esther is about a hidden identity, a moment that changes everything, and the incredible power of one person's voice. And it really leaves us with a question that still matters today. When you are faced with a great injustice, when is it your time to speak up, no matter what it